Let's scoop you up. Here she is. She says hello. Hello, welcome to my channel, Haylee Marie Vintage. Today I have a sewing project for you. This is a 1950s dress. I will insert some close-ups. It has like a box pleat in the front, and then it looks like more box pleats that are lower down on the sides. It's a really interesting looking dress. Maybe it doesn't even have that much pleats. When I'm like looking at the back pattern, it doesn't look as pleated, but I don't know, I haven't done anything really like this before. I think this is kind of like I feel like I typically sew kind of like super girly pieces, and I feel like this one, while girly, is a little bit more sophisticated. So I'm excited to give it a try for that. And it looks like there's also a version with a neck trim and a version without. I'm going to read more of the pattern. I haven't read this pattern at all. I'm literally just kicking off the intro today, and I'm going to cut the pattern pieces tomorrow while it's hopefully sunny out, because that gives me really good lighting for cutting out a pattern. So I haven't actually really looked at how complex this is, but I am really excited for it because I think it'll just be a different challenge for me. So this here is the fabric I'm going to be using. Like I said, this is just going to be kind of a more sophisticated dress for me. I have 5 yards of this 42-inch fabric. This is just a Butterick. I think this is older than the Butterick. I still feel like I always want to call it Butterwick, but the Butterick patterns, I feel like this is an older one I work with. I feel like I do a lot of simplicity here. And then I've also done quite a few advanced. Those are usually my favorite pattern brands. And we'll see. I might get extra, because you know me. I might get extra and add some trim to the cuffs and the collar. I'm going to look at what's in my bag, so we'll kind of see how that goes. Like I said, flying pretty blind into this. I haven't read anything, so this might have been the worst choice ever. I wanted to do not a pattern this time, because a lot of the patterns right now I have in my bin, I need to like be really careful and deliberate about matching them. And I'm just like kind of in the mood for a project where that matters like significantly less, because the last few projects I've done, I've really had to be very intentional and careful about my directionality of my pattern and the way the seams match up. And I just kind of want to do a project that is none of that nonsense, and I may be learning more cool technical other skills, which in this case will be the cuffs. And I haven't done a collared like shirt thing in a while, so I'm excited to give that another go. But I will check back in with you when I start cutting, so you'll see me in a few seconds for you, but a whole day for me. So as you can see here, I have everything laid out. I actually have a lot of extra fabric on this one, which I'm excited about. And then I have all of my pieces here. So I'll have enough fabric, I think, to make a shirt, which I think is great. So I actually had this all laid out about 2 hours ago, but then Spooky got really hyper. We'll go over to her. She's ignoring me. Here's her little face. She's now very tired. But before, she was really into running around on my pattern pieces, and we've had a couple nicks and dings because of it, but now she's thoroughly tuckered out, so I can actually start to cut my patterns. One thing is the past owner has actually shortened the waist by actually how much I prefer to shorten the waist on most patterns from this decade. So I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And then they also shortened the hem here. So I actually think this one was actually probably pretty close to like my size. It'll be interesting to see how that works. I think you can see behind me. My soundtrack for this project is rewatching Andy Dorfman's season of The Bachelorette. I do put on the TV and just listen to it in the background. So that's kind of what's happening right now. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get all these pieces pinned and cut and marked. And then I will check back in probably tomorrow, unless I'm feeling really productive today. I'll check back in tomorrow for starting to actually sew this together. All right, so I have all of my pattern pieces cut out, marked, and ready to go. So I'll turn around and show you that. I used my white tailor's chalk on these to mark. So, I mean, as you can also see, there's been some cat sitting on here, but that's fine. But yeah, you can see like I have all of my pleating marks and the arrows and all that jazz. All my skirts, my blouses, and then I also went ahead and interfaced the pieces that need interfacing. So I used, let me grab it. I used Pro Light fusible interfacing from the Fashion Supply Co. I really like their interfacings, and I haven't used this type before, So I'll kind of see how it goes. It's pretty stiff. Yeah, so my first step is going to be doing bound buttonholes because I like to get those done and over with. And then after I get those done, I'll start assembling. The instructions for this are actually more straightforward than I thought they would be. Let me grab those. They're really straightforward. The pleats for this should be easier for me to figure out because like there's an obvious way they should lie. The biggest thing will be the collar. The collar is always kind of tricky. But otherwise this looks really straightforward as a pattern. So that's nice. I'm going back and forth right now if I want to do bound buttonholes or if I want to do hand buttonholes, but I kind of have to make a decision. Oh, that reminds me, I should also go grab, and here are the buttons I'm using. So they'll look really pretty on this blue fabric and be kind of more of a decorative or statement button. I picked these up, I think at Seattle Recreative. I think they're really pretty and I'm going to add that extra something to this, and because the buttons are so loud, I'm not going to add any trims or anything. I'm going to get started on either deciding if I'm going to do a bound buttonhole or a other buttonhole. I don't know what to call that. And so once I figure that out, I will check back in when whatever I decide is done. Alrighty folks, so I have done some experimenting and decided to go with non-bound buttonholes, and I tried using the Buttonhole sewer on my machine for the first time, and I actually really liked it. I really hated it on my old machine, but this machine is much better, and so it's a much better experience. Let me real quick show you guys what I'm talking about. Well, so here you can see I've now marked for my buttonholes here. I won't do this till the end, so this sort of will probably have to be remarked. I just wanted to at least get something down. And then here you can see it's always a good idea to test your buttonholes. This first one, I was trying kind of one of the smaller, tighter buttonholes because these buttons are shanks. That doesn't really work very great. The second one was another try, but it was just kind of longer and bigger than it needed to be. This third try here was the perfect size, but I wanted these stitches to be denser like they are in this one here. So that is where we have landed. So now I want to sew all of the darts and kind of like the collar together, get kind of all the things starting to move that will eventually get assembled together. So that is where I'm going to start right now, and I'll check back in probably when we're like at a phase where it'll be interesting. And a spooky update. Here she is. She is learning to like my sewing machine. She wants to now look at it while I use it, which makes me anxious. Alright, it's been a slow day going. I took a nap, ate lunch, so I'm not as far along as I maybe wished I was, but I can show you where I'm at. So, as you can see here, so here's the like little necktie thing. I have my cuffs, I have my collar over here, I also have my bodice, like the front with the buttons, and I have this all like edged and top stitched and all that jazz. And then I also have the sleeves vaguely made up, and then I have the top of the bodice. So this is the like pleated front. I'm gonna actually rebaste this because it's supposed to be basted vertically and not horizontally. So I'm gonna take this out and make sure I baste down to where the line ends here. And that's what I'm gonna do next. And then I'm gonna start some pretty major assembly, and I'll probably check back in when I have the skirt and the blouse assembled separately. Alright guys, I am back. I am a few days later at this point. So obviously the weekend is over, and so I'm working, and so I have to get my job done during the day, but I do have time to film a quick peek on what's going on. I didn't get as far as I thought I would be at this point in the check-in, but I've made some good progress that I wanted to show you. So here we have the front of the skirt. As you can see, I put the buttons on already. That's what the instructions said, even though I feel like it's weird, but that's fine. They look really great. And then I have the pleats in, so I have like this pleat here, and then this middle pleat, and I have everything pleated exactly the way it says to. So I'm actually pretty pleased with these because pleating has been a rough go for me sometimes. And then, as you can see here, I have another exciting thing. So this is the front of the shirt. Let me see if I can, okay, that's as zoomed out as it gets. I would say this is the most successful collar I have made so far in my sewing journey. I think the level of interfacing I used was perfect. I really like it, and I'll definitely be ordering more. I will link that interfacing down below for anyone who's curious. I was worried about it being too heavy, but it feels perfect for the collar and the cuffs, which I'll show you in a second. So basically, I just need to stitch the sides of this together, and then, ooh, hiccup. I just need to stitch the side of this together, and then I will put on the sleeves, and then it'll be ready to attach. I'm also going to put on the buttonholes at this point before I put on the sleeve, just so there's less to maneuver around. And then showing you one more thing. So here's a sleeve, one of the sleeves. As you can see, it looks really, really great. I have the cuff again. Like I said, I think I really like this weight of interfacing. It looks really, really good. The button was an added detail that they didn't ask for, but I put on because I thought it was cute. I have it with the bias tape on the inside. I think, again, this looks really great. And then I have it stitched at the top for easy gathering for putting it into the shirt. So I'm excited. I'm getting very close to finished product. I will check back in again this time when both the blouse and the skirt are fully constructed and ready to be put together. Okay. It looks like you can vaguely see me. Light's changing. It's not great. But I'm going to show you where I'm at. I have everything ready to put together. I'm very excited. I say this every time, this might be one of my favorite dresses I've ever made. So here, wow, there's Spooky. Say hello. She's very asleep. So here you can see the front of the skirt. It is all stitched up. This side is basted to put the zipper in, and then we have the blouse. Look at how great this looks. We have the sleeves in and ready to go. And again, we have the sides sewn up. One side is basted so it can go with the skirt. This has been a relatively easy and painless pattern process. I feel like I've learned a lot, and I can tell that I'm so much better at sewing because the collar on this doesn't look janky at all. So I'm very excited about that, but next up will be the reveal where I show you with it on. Wow, that was some words. But yeah, next up, the reveal. Let's scoop you up. Here she is. She says hello. I'm sure she'll drop off my lap pretty fast. But here is Spooky. Oh, are you gonna stay? She's doing very well. We had some trials and tribulations through this first sewing project together. She is a bit of a rascal who wants to lay on the tissue paper and tear it with her claws, which is not my favorite. So there was a bathroom locking her in incident that I quickly fixed because I realized that was not the tone I wanted to set for when I get sewing stuff out. So instead, my current method for keeping her happy while I sew is to play with her for like an hour before. Are you gonna jump off? No? No decision? My current strategy is to play with her for like an hour before I start sewing. You're gonna fall. Okay. And off she goes. So that way she's really tuckered out and taking a nap. So we'll see how that strategy holds up over time, but let's dig into what you actually care about, which is probably not my sewing strategy with my new cat. I am really proud of this dress. This is by far the best collared piece I have done to date. The collar lays flat without me tacking it anywhere. Everything is like the way it should be. I added on like some extra buttons and extra details. The pleating is correct. So I'm really proud of this piece. I think it's like one of my favorite to date. I also really like how kind of simple and basic it is. This is like a less me project because I feel like I like very over-the-top fabrics and over-the-top patterns, and then adding like over-the-top trim. So like this is very basic and simple for me, but I think it was really successful. There's like a few places that bothers me where like on the waist here, I don't know if you can see this, but the like lines don't meet. But otherwise it fits really, really well. I'm really pleased with the fit. My hemming just felt kind of sloppy on this one. Like it just feels more puckered and like I didn't get my like tension as correct. So I don't quite know what's up with that. My hand did it as always. I maybe didn't shrink my fabric inside well enough. I don't know. I need to kind of figure that out. I'm trying to think. Oh, my new found tool of actually using my buttonhole foot on my sewing machine. I will still do bound buttons. I think bound buttons look cleaner in a lot of cases, but in a case like this, I think using the foot was really beneficial, and it definitely took significantly less time. So I'm pretty happy with that. And then yeah, as you'll have seen in the reveal, the fit on this is really nice. Like I said, just like a few like tweaks to the skirt. Like I don't think the skirt looks bad by any means. And then the other thing I would do, so this dress is really hard to get in and out of. I thought it would be okay because it obviously unbuttons all the way down the front and then has the side zip. But I definitely need the side zip going to like here to make it more doable. The biggest thing is like kind of getting like my shoulders in and out of it has proved really challenging. So I kind of am going to need to figure out the puzzle on that. The other thing is I didn't do a good job trimming like the extra fluff in my buttonholes. So while trying it on and buttoning and unbuttoning, a thread got caught, and now I kind of have like a couple pulls in the fabric that I'm pretty unhappy about. That just sort of is what it is, but like I'm definitely like not super pleased. But yeah, otherwise I think this is clean. Like I think I would look at this garment and not known somebody as inexperienced as me made it, I guess. I guess I should also maybe stop thinking of myself as inexperienced at this point. I probably made 30 different pieces, and I've never used the same pattern twice. That's not true. I've used one pattern 3 times. But otherwise I haven't done the same pattern twice, so I think I maybe need to start thinking of myself as more intermediate sewer. Oh, the last thing I want to note that I just have decided makes such a big difference in my zippers. I use this 1/4 inch interfacing tape that just kind of stiffens it, and ever since I did that, I just think my zippers look really professionally done. So I'm going to link that in the description, and if you're somebody who is like me and fears the zipper, I would highly recommend checking it out and giving it a try. It has completely changed doing zippers for me. I would say I almost like don't even dread doing zippers anymore. And then the other thing is also having gotten that Sewing Supply Co., Fashion Sewing Supply Co. I'll link that down in the description, but getting my interfacing from them has also been like a big game changer because I think it just looks so much nicer because the interfacing in it is so much higher quality, and like this feels like the right, like it's thick enough to hold its shape but not so thick it doesn't flow, because like obviously all that interfacing is in here too, and when you see me try this on it doesn't look like I feel like I had a hard time at Joann's finding the right interfacing like this. And this is much higher quality and it's a small company, so like better to support. Joann's doesn't necessarily have the best business practices, so I would definitely prefer supporting that small company. But yeah, I'm really proud of this dress. In general, I think it's been a year-ish since I started sewing garments and just in general like more seriously. And I think I have just grown in leaps and bounds, and it's wild because my grandma, she, I was going to say was a dressmaker. She wasn't a dressmaker, but she was a very good seamstress. Like most of, I think, our grandma's like home-taught sewer. And at this point, I would say I'm like on par with her, and one of my favorite things about learning to sew has been going back into her work and actually seeing where she screwed up. And it's just like a good reminder that like you may see your own screw-ups, but nobody else will. Because there's definitely places in this piece where I screwed up. I don't think I will ever produce a perfect piece. I just don't think I'm that type of seamstress. So like just kind of like giving myself grace for the fact that I will make mistakes. But yeah, that like sums up this project. Like I said, I'm super proud of this piece, and hopefully you enjoyed it. I am so far accomplishing my goal of doing one of these videos a month. It is a bit of a stretch because these videos are longer to film. This video was definitely a little bit more like sloppy in the editing and the filming because I was more pressed for time. In the future, I would like to continue to keep them a little bit more with like showing you guys how I sew and how I do things, especially since I do them in such a smaller apartment space. But I hope you enjoyed this one, and if you haven't subscribed, if you want to do so, I post every single Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time. Bye!